at the Forum in Inglewood. The game kicks off NBA All-Star Weekend. The pop-up is free and open to the public and includes a performance by the marching bands from Hampton and North Carolina A&T. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Check it out. After nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, poets, and cultural icons, I have learned that the difference between a good conversation and an unforgettable one is not what you say, it is how you listen. Most people listen to respond. I learned to listen to learn and follow. When you master this, something remarkable happens. People just open up. They leave the conversation feeling truly heard, and they never forget you. Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, and for the first time in my life, I'm teaching everything I have learned. The Art of Conversation, a 4-week masterclass for podcasters, leaders, and professionals who understand that the ability to connect is their greatest competitive advantage. Our founding cohort starts Monday, February the 16th, and only a limited number of seats remain. Enroll right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com.
Yeah, this is all good. Get the fuck up out my face with what you talking about. I got too much on my plate, and I know you can't relate. They show love, but it be fake. Talking about be covering up that hate. I know how to spot a snake. Tote that drum and bass. You talking about? So you better know your place. Stay inside, cause it ain't safe. I'm outside with the apes. You talking about? Yeah. You hear my words, but got no clue about who I really am. From shark-infested waters, phrases like that make me sound harder and more ruthless. But the truth is that I merely swam out the stolo, semis bland, willy-nilly over kilograms, selling rock like Stilly Dan. While the world spins like whirlwinds, out of control. How does the soul find a thorough cleanse when all of this cold water that flows has for sure been contaminated with sin? Planted in the latest of trends, stranded in this land of the antiquated ways of the men, standing in a state of revenge, seeking a way to defend reputations because the names are actually greater than them. Life is a trip, you can't predict the random way that it ends. Bullets travel straight through the skin like gamma rays in the wind. My greatest of wins came when I annotated my gems. I write so far, I got my hand afraid of my pen. Get the fuck up out my face with what you talking about. I got too much on my plate, and I know you can't.
KBLA Talk 1580. I can just listen to J. Cole. We can just spend the half hour listening to J. Cole. But no, because we have a great guest in store for you. I'm excited because I've never had a chance to talk with him before. He's a professor of Africana and Communication Studies at Morgan State University in Baltimore, the author of The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power. He's also the host of the podcast, iMiXWHATiLiKE. And he's got decades of journalism, media, writing, and political work. You can find that at iMiXWHATiLiKE.org. He is also a 2022 Marguerite Casey Foundation Freedom Scholar. Dr. Jared Ball, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good morning. Greetings to you and your audience.
Yes, well, greetings to you. I love having you on. So much going on. I've been in this a decade or several myself, and I don't know that I've ever seen an environment that's quite as repressive and scary for journalists in this country, and that's saying a lot. I mean, I've actually been fired for speaking out on the radio, so I know it's not been a total dream life, disco life, but it seems like it's more fraud. Is that accurate or no? Am I being hyperbolic?
No, I don't think you're being hyperbolic, though. I do find myself wanting to stress that this problem has long been a reality, and that while Trump and his administration is certainly escalating and taking advantage of a pre-existing situation, that is the point, that this is a pre-existing situation. The United States is routinely ranked among the lowest of so-called first world nations when it comes to press and journalistic freedom. There's been a long, at least at minimum, 50 to 60 year attack on independent and journalistic practice through commercialism, advertising, and so on and so forth. And of course, that problem is itself not new. So And then, unfortunately, what we end up finding ourselves, I think, having to deal with in this moment is a sort of valorization of a form of journalism that I and some others have been long critical of. That is, unfortunately, a problem that exists within the Black press and Black media community, one of class and political biases, and of course, the overall problem of advertising and commercial impact on journalistic content. So,
overall problem is
you're not being hyperbolic, but this is not a new problem.
I'm laughing because you say, I love the way you say problem of commercial influence, because I don't think, people, it's often framed only as opportunity, but clearly that is, in some cases, despite the fact that we have all these rules about what we can and cannot do during elections, it is a problem. It's a challenge. It changes the way we report on politics.
No, absolutely, and without meaning to, let me say it this way, with giving proper respect to a lot of the great journalism and a lot of the great work Black journalists and others have been trying to produce over the many decades, there is this persistent problem. I've myself come into conflict with it. You mentioned my book. And unfortunately, a lot of the problems with the promotion of bad economic analysis and the mythology of buying power and the circulating black dollar and all these other financial mythologies is they're often promoted by a Black press trying to attract white commercial ad revenue. So this creates a certain, an unfortunate dilemma. But that doesn't mean that what is happening shouldn't be called out and criticized. It does not mean that even those I have had personal and political differences with, that we shouldn't stand in support of them, at least to the extent that they're being harassed and imprisoned or chased down. So again, I don't pretend, for instance, to be a great fan of the career of Don Lemon, but I don't think that he and others should be targeted in unjust ways for practicing what is their journalistic right, even if some of us might be critical of the form of journalism they practice. So again, I just want to be clear a little bit about where I stand in all of this and honest about where I stand in all of this, while also acknowledging that those with whom I may have some political differences themselves do not deserve this kind of treatment. And again, we should call it out and stand in solidarity with them. And then once they're on better footing, we can resume sort of some critical engagement with their work.
Absolutely. Okay. So you said a bunch of really interesting things that I want to take a deeper look at. One of them you referenced is sort of the class bias, which also, in my opinion, manifests as respectability politics in some Black media. What do you mean when you say that?
First, I agree with what you said, absolutely. But maybe in addition to that, what I also mean is that the commercial impact, the often desire to chase professional and maintain professional careers and advance within professional careers creates, not just within Black journalism, this is a problem within journalism. It creates a class bias among the journalists producing the work. And then there becomes conscious and sometimes also unconscious self-censorship and bias in the reporting, because people don't want to upset their access. They don't want to upset certainly their salaries and, of course, healthcare and other benefits. And as a result, end up, I think, putting unfortunate limits on their reporting, or have limits put on their reporting that negatively impact what is ultimately, in this case, a Black targeted audience. So, so what that audience ends up getting, unwittingly, often unwittingly, I would argue, is a racial and class biased view that is promoted through Black voices, Black writing, Black media creation, but is often very white and conservative in its political content and framing.
On the other hand, and this is a question, even though I'm framing it as a comment. On the other hand, many Black media outlets, in print, radio, TV, whatever it is, mostly print and radio, because we don't have that many television stations. We don't even have that many radio stations, only 5 Black-owned talk radio stations in the whole country. We are operating with no resources. Most of the time we have fewer advertisers. We're dealing with no urban dictates. We're doing 25 people's jobs. So in a lot of cases, it's not necessarily biased. Sometimes it's just we don't have the bandwidth.
No, absolutely, and I can elaborate or expand my definition of bias to just say that again. This is I don't mean always a case of, as you put it, a conscious personal political bias. It's the bias of the institutional organization of commercial journalism. And to your point, I mean, I have in many ways tried unsuccessfully, I would argue, to follow in some of the footsteps of the late great Glenn Ford and his journalism at Black Agenda Report and Black Agenda Radio. And one of the things I learned from him over the last many years in his work and following his work is that, and by the way, Black Agenda is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. I just reminded that. But anyway, his argument was that a lot of this commercial impact, this institutional impact on Black journalism, as you described very well, results in a situation where we lose, since the 70s, almost all of our locally based community journalism. We've lost a lot of the radical journalism that would have been connected in more meaningful ways to grassroots political activity and organizational work. And we've lost a lot of the sort of political analysis and framing in the content of the reporting and the journalism as a result as well. So again, you're right. I don't mean to suggest that the bias is strictly a matter of people chasing the bag and trying to, have their personal individual careers, which is in fact a problem. But it's really more of the institutional arrangement that, as you say, leaves people struggling with resources, and as a result, often, and this is across the board, by the way. It's not just journalism. It's in my academic world and elsewhere, where the financial limitations and influence have us putting limits on our work, have others put limits on our work and our platforming, and again, results ultimately in an underinformed Black community and targeted audience.
I mean, and so there's this myth that's widely perpetuated, a talking point maybe, that the media is liberal. The fact of the matter is most of the media is owned by extreme conservatives, and it's even more so at this moment. I mean, with Larry Ellison buying everything at TikTok, CBS, et cetera, now trying to get Warner Brothers. The consolidation is even more extreme than we've seen in the past, but yet we are labeled as so-called liberal, which to me, what they call the left on mainstream media is really the center, and what they, you know what I'm saying? And what they call
absolutely.
The middle is really the right.
No, absolutely. And this is sort of one of the problems that I'm having with this moment, that as bad as Trump is making it, this level of repression often results in a more, to your point, middle of the road, I would even argue conservative form of framing and journalism and analysis that is purported and labeled as liberal, as a way of dragging the conversation farther to the right, when, as you pointed out perfectly correctly, that the politics of the individual journalists and producers is ultimately irrelevant when the politics of the owners, and even more importantly, the advertisers, who are ultimately more have more influence over the content than actually even an owner does. Their politics are what should be held up for scrutiny more than the people we see. And as I've often told my students, as a starting point, the person you see or hear or are reading is often the least powerful person in the process of producing that product.
That's real talk.
So we just have to be aware of that, and just constantly vigilant and asking ourselves, how do we know what we know, and why do we like what we like, and double check how the methods we're using to reach whatever conclusions we are.
And why do we say what we say? That's why I have Talking Point Tuesday every week around here. We're talking with Dr. Jared Abal, professor of African American and African Diaspora Studies at Morgan State and podcaster. We'll continue this convo when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
What's up? What's up? What's up? We got to laugh the pain away.
Hey, KBLA delegation, happy Black History Month. Around here, we celebrate our culture, our community, and our contributions daily. But this year, as we observe the 100th anniversary of Black History Month celebrations, we're excited about our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, honoring comedy greats. On Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum in downtown LA, we're toasting D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Munell, Dion Cole, and Martin Lawrence with a surprise guest appearance. A limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon remain, so now would be a good time to head to KBLA1580.com to secure one for yourself. That's KBLA1580.com. A little laughter goes a long way, especially in times like these. So come, join us for our annual KBLA Talk 1580 Black History Month Luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. Again, tickets are available right now at KBLA1580.com.
Well, I hang around my boy. He been married for 6 years. Videotaping his wedding day, never watched it. Now and every day he watch it every day, but he watch it in reverse. Because he said he loves seeing himself take that ring back off of that finger. Walking back down that aisle, just waving at her ugly mother down the church. Getting back in the limo, back at the bachelor party. Look how happy I was.
KBLA Talk 1580 thanks LA City Council members Curran D. Price Jr. and Heather Hutt for being the presenting sponsors at this year's Black History Month Luncheon. Honoring excellence, resilience, and achievement, we're KBLA Talk 1580.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's tax time, y'all. If you want to file free, this next one's for you.
Now taxes is so free. Tax-free edition only. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple form 1040 returns only. Now this is taxes.
Love that jam. Up next, commercials.
Intuit TurboTax free edition. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, student loan interest, and Schedule 1A.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
He's a professor of Africana and Communication Studies at Morgan State in Baltimore, author of The Myth and Propaganda of Black Buying Power, which I'd love to do a whole show on just that, and host of the podcast, I Mix What I Like. Hopefully you'll come back one day. Dr. Jared Ball is our guest. So is the answer all of us just got to be broke? I mean, yeah, I'm not going to lie. I consider myself progressive. I consider myself, to the left of most for sure in the mainstream media, but I wouldn't mind having, a fat bank account.
Well, I mean, again, it's a question of what kind of world we want and what do we want for the greater collective of the Black community or of humanity more broadly. And ultimately, admittedly, as a socialist, I see a major problem with the creation of massive amounts of wealth, because that also means you have to have massive amounts of poverty and inequality, even more so. So I would rather, rather than, but I'm also realistic and I understand the situation we're in. So what I would prefer is that folks do what they can to be more honest in the work that they do, and, in promoting certain ideas and frames, and then work off the record beyond their overt work to support other efforts as well. And in some cases, just simply turn down the hostility to those of us to their left, and maybe just, but I understand. But what really has to happen is, we can't continue to encourage individual journalists or celebrities or athletes or academics or workers of any kind to constantly make individual sacrifices and throw themselves on the self-sacrificial pyre of revolutionary individual activity. What we have to be doing is more of the hard work of building movements and political organizations that can call for the public policy redistribution of the $20 trillion GDP that we help create in this country every year, and create a situation where the level of comfort that you're describing that most of us want is something everyone can have, or certainly more of us can have, without the levels of hostility and abuse being suffered at the other end.
Right. I mean, there's rich and there's rich.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to be a billionaire. I kind of don't think anyone should be a billionaire. There's rich and there's rich. I do consider myself a democratic socialist. I do, my dad was an all-out communist, and he even said everyone should have a nice house. Everyone should have enough to eat. Everyone should, have a decent means of transportation and a good education. So the idea is not for nobody to have anything. The idea is for everybody to have a decent amount and nobody to be hoarding.
Exactly. So, exactly right. So salute to your pops and to you. And this is why I continue to argue that the criticism of those even we want to end up supporting when they are being harassed in the way that they are in this way today is that in many ways they are too often being encouraged to play the role of protecting the policy that leads to this level of maldistribution.
Yeah.
So we just have to be honest about the political economy of media, and then do what we can outside of that to join and support other forms of organization that will put pressure on the society, so that those who are in position of commercial or other forms of journalism are compelled to report and cover the work that we in movement making spaces are creating. That is, we can't expect individual professional journalists any more than we can expect individual professional academics, athletes, entertainers to, again, be the vanguard in some kind of fantasy way when they themselves are not coming out of politically organized and radically educated spaces. So,
yeah.
So this is, we're in a tough spot, and there's a lot of work to do. And to your previous point, as I heard you were bringing us back in, I'm always more than happy to join you and your audience, and I appreciate the invitation and the discussion. And as I always say, peace to everybody as long as we're willing to fight for it, as Fred Hampton used to say. And we got some struggle ahead.
You host a podcast, I Mix What I Like, and honestly, there's a lot of podcasts, some of them great, some of them wish they didn't have a mic, but it seemed like for a minute distribution was wide open. Maybe it still is. You had YouTube, you have all these different platforms, and people can TikTok, and people can get outside of the mainstream media and make their voices heard and go viral. It seems like that's tightening up a lot. Ellison now controlling TikTok. The president seems to have brought the big platforms and their owners to heel. So what is the role of podcasts right now? And do you think it still is and will be as impactful as it has been in the current environment, media environment, and political environment?
Well, admittedly, I'm in my work, I've always been a bit on the skeptical side of the arguments around the liberating potential of the internet and media and social media and new technology. So there's a lot of us out here trying to do good work with these spaces, but it is insufficient, and that's why, just as I was saying a moment ago, we have to match this level of work with the kind of political organizing on the ground that would bring real meaning to the work. To your point about Larry Ellison and many others, the ruling elite have long set up a media environment that by design is meant to limit the radical potential for conversation. So the idea that we would all just be able to get out here and podcast our way to freedom is fantastical. So we have the same difficult struggle around political organizing and movement making is what we have to get back to, and continue to support those doing that work, and to those of us in these media spaces to do what we can to cover that work journalistically. We still have a problem with existing political prisoners like Mumia Abu-Jamal, who is a legendary journalist himself. We have a society that's going to unfortunately produce more political prisoners. So we have to have a media environment that is willing to support that to a certain extent and support and cover that work. But we have to have political organizing and movement making that will make journalists and others be made to address the work that they're doing.
I mean, you make the point that we've had a problem with our journalists and our media freedom here in this country for many years, and I'm aware of it. But when you see the President of the United States forcing CBS and YouTube and others to make tens of millions of dollars in payments to him because of things that were said on the air that he personally didn't like, why is that a problem?
I'm sorry, you said, why is it a problem?
Yeah. Why is it a problem that the President of the United States is currently able to pressure media outlets to pay him off, to pay him millions of dollars because they said or did something or did an edit that he didn't personally like?
Well, I mean, again, there's many lines this president is happy to step over, and unfortunately he's doing it in a political environment that previous administrations and a long history of foul leadership has allowed to evolve. So Trump is taking advantage of a space that has been created for him to use as abuse as a playground. And he's of course doing it to the extent he can. What is needed is societal institutions, in this case journalistic ones, that will stand up to that and say, no, there's certain levels of professionalism and integrity and legality that we won't abuse. And to the extent that they're not doing that, it speaks to the problem that I've mentioned is long. That exists long before this administration and will not be solved when this administration passes. So again, the work is still there for us to do.
Tell us how to follow your work and find your podcast and all of that good stuff.
So again, I mix what I like pretty much everywhere, and iMiXWHATiLiKE.org for everything. And of course, they can also find the podcast and my work with my comrades at Black Liberation Media as well on YouTube. So, and again, thank you very much. I appreciate this relatively short conversation, and I look forward to another one at some point.
Absolutely. Dr. Jarrett Ball, thank you so much. Nice meeting you, and appreciate your insights. iMiXWHATiLiKE.org. That's where you can find him. I'm Dominique DePrima. Phone lines are wide open, 800-920-1580. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Seattle celebrated the Seahawks' Super Bowl 60 victory after their 29-13 win over the New England Patriots in Santa Clara. Quarterback Sam Darnold addressed cheering fans.
A lot of people, didn't believe in me, but it didn't matter because the ones that are close believed in me, including y'all.
This win marks the team's second championship. A California lawmaker is proposing a bill that would ban alcohol sales to anyone with multiple DUI convictions. Black Assembly member Rhodesia Ransom's plan, AB 1605, would let judges add a no alcohol sale label to repeat offenders' licenses. And Tiger Woods' son, Charlie, has announced on Instagram he's committing to play college golf at Florida State. The high school junior is ranked number 21 in the AJGA and previously teamed with his father at the PNC Championship. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now is the time to save on an award-winning Nissan at the Nissan Now sales event, featuring the Rogue, Pathfinder, Frontier, and more. Don't wait. These offers are going fast. Shop your Southern California Nissan dealers and NissanUSA.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers go into the All-Star break with a nice win in Houston Wednesday night. Kawhi Leonard converted a clutch three-point play with 2 seconds left to give the Clippers a 105-102 victory. Leonard scored 19 of his 27 points in the fourth quarter. New Clippers guard Benedict Mathurin had 16 points and 3 steals off the bench. The Clippers are 20-7 since December 18th. The Lakers are at home tonight against Dallas. Luka Doncic will miss his fourth straight game with a hamstring injury. Today at 4:30 at LA Live in downtown LA, the men's basketball teams at Hampton University and North Carolina A&T will be celebrated at a pop-up event sponsored by the NBA and Foot Locker. The teams are in town for Friday night's HBCU Classic at the Forum in Inglewood. The game kicks off NBA All-Star Weekend. The pop-up is free and open to the public and includes a performance by the marching bands from Hampton and North Carolina A&T. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized. The families who watched their inheritance disappear. The wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
So the police in England are actually said to be considering, they announced they're considering whether or not to open a formal investigation into former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the guy that, palled around with Epstein, and he's all up in them files. It's not because of the pedophilia that they're formally investigating, but they're looking into whether he shared confidential state secrets with Epstein while he was over there, being a nasty pedophile. So they're saying that there are documents within the Epstein files that seem to show that. It doesn't mean that there'll automatically be a police investigation, but it could be a case of criminal wrongdoing. Okay, now, once again, we see the British Prime Minister under pressure to step down because someone he appointed is in the Epstein files. Someone he appointed as an ambassador. Not him himself, but someone he appointed. Now we see Mr. Creepy former prince, in Britain looking at possible criminal charges because of running his mouth and maybe offering compromising evidence to Epstein. We're increasingly hearing that maybe Epstein was a spy. Allegedly, he may have had compromising materials on people, Republicans and Democrats and world leaders of other countries that gave him an enormous amount of clout, or gave him, or whoever he was working for. Some conspiracy theorists or analysts say it could be Russia. Some say Israel. Who knows? Could be a freelance pimp. You don't know. But certainly there is evidence mounting in those millions of files. Interesting, though, that all of this pressure is being brought to bear on people in other countries, but not in the country, very little in the country where all of this went down, the United States of America, Florida, New York. Casey Wasserman, who was flirting with Ghislaine Maxwell, the co-conspirator to Jeffrey Epstein, said that even though he was sending her flirty messages, it's been 20 years, they didn't find any other indiscretions, as the New York Times describes it. So Mr. Wasserman will keep his position as the chair of the LA 2028 Olympic Committee. And that is, as we ramp up for the Summer Games, and even though people are saying he should resign because of his connections to Epstein. So it doesn't seem to have the same impact here, particularly not on our president. What do we make of that? Oh, look, speaking of Republicans, I don't think he's in the Epstein files, though. Ira calling from the Palisades. Good morning, Ira.
That's funny, Dominique. Protect black women. Can you tell me, what race or ethnicity is this Nithya woman?
Why does that matter?
I was just curious. Look, we're not big fans of hers here in the Palisades, but the Mexican-American community has a lot to be proud of in Karen Bass. She's been a great mayor for them.
Okay. All right, MAGA talking points. Good morning. Raman is not Mexican, though. She's Indian. She's South Asian. FYI.
No, but Karen Bass is... Oh, okay. Thank you. But Karen Bass has done a great job for the Mexican-American community. They should really uphold her in this next election. But I don't think she's going to win, but hopefully they'll give her a good
Who are
vote.
you voting for? I'm curious where the Republicans are going in this race.
We have to let it shake out. I mean, we got a while to go. Let's see who stays in.
We have to let it shake out. Okay. I mean, there's really two real contenders. I know that a lot of people are running for mayor. A lot more than I realized once I started looking at who took out papers. Ray Wong is, she's to the left of both Mayor Bass and Council Member Rahman. Then you've got Adam Miller, this tech executive guy who doesn't stand a snowball's chance, but he's the co-founder of Better Angels, and he's got a lot of money, a really lot of money. So good, spend it all, spread the wealth. Spencer Pratt, the reality TV star and mini MAGA guy who's been endorsed by the former Oath Keeper sheriff over there in Riverside, and of course, Nithya Raman. So that's a lot of folks. You don't know yet, is what you're saying. You just want to call over here and talk smack about the mayor. And I say talk smack because although I don't think it's a bad thing for the mayor to do well in representing all citizens of this city, clearly you're trying to make it seem like she prioritizes Latinos over black folks, and that's something that a lot of folks who have a more conservative bent do when it comes to this mayor. It's one of their favorite talking points. I haven't seen concrete evidence to support that in terms of the programs and policies that she's put forth. One of her greatest achievements is a small but steady reduction in the number of people who are unhoused, which is a huge percentage of those are actually black people. Carry on, Ira.
I have a number of properties here on the west side, the Palisades, Malibu, Santa Monica. And, Santa Monica, of course, she's not responsible for. Malibu really even. But in the
No, not Malibu, not at all. Malibu, not really. Not Malibu, not at all. They have their own mayor, as does Santa Monica.
But in the Palisades, she's done nothing.
That's what do you base that on, Ira?
On the properties that I have not been able to recover. They won't let us rebuild. And it comes through the mayor's office. She is the impediment. She's the one holding everything back.
She's doing, from what I understand, she's doing everything she can to expedite. We've seen a very rapid restoration of, the land. The rebuilding, I don't think it's happening as fast as anyone would like it to happen. But is it really accurate to put that only on the mayor? You've got county issues. You've got, all issues with the federal government holding up funds. You've got issues with the toxicity of the soil and the surrounding area. And there's, state, federal, county, and city all partners there. Now, does the mayor have no responsibility? No, I'm not saying that. Is it accurate to say that she is the impediment? Sounds like another Republican talking point to me. How can you back that up? Give me some facts, not just talking points.
Well, the fact is that you can just drive around town and you can see nothing's been done in over a year.
That's not a fact. And actually, nothing has been done is not factual.
Well, it hasn't been done for my properties and a number of my neighbors' properties.
Okay. So you're upset about your own personal property. And where are you in the process, Ira?
We're barely at the beginning.
Did you lose? Was your property burned down?
Yes.
Has the lot been cleared?
No. We're waiting on the city. They won't come through.
My understanding is that, and I could be wrong about this, but my understanding is that the free clearing of lots was from the county.
The city has to coordinate all of this, and they're not doing a very good job. She's got a re-election campaign. She doesn't have time for the nonsense of county, state.
Okay,
She's got to get on her job.
You know what? Every elected official runs for re-election. That is not specific to the mayor. Every elected official runs for re-election. Do we wish they could spend all their time focused on running the city, the county, the state, the country? Yes. But that's not how our system works. They run for re-election, and is it a distraction? Sure. What do you want them to do? Not run for re-election and just let the next guy come along? That's not realistic. You could change the system, particularly the campaign finance system, so that people didn't have to spend so much time fundraising. But again, that's not unique to the mayor, and I take issue with the idea that somehow people find it more problematic when black women spend time doing the things that every politician does. I don't hear you calling up here and complaining about how Governor Gavin Newsom is flying all around the country, flying all around the world, raising his profile so that he can run for president. We kind of accept that. It is what it is. It's what politicians do. They're either running for the job to keep the job they have or to go and find the next job. Is it ideal? Maybe not. Is it our system? Yes, it is. So why would you demonize that for one person and one politician and give another one a pass? Ira called 800-920-1580. I encourage you to do the same. Another loss for the Trump administration. I'll break that down for you when we come forward. A little palate cleanser this morning on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized. The families who watched their inheritance disappear. The wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
Check it out. After nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, poets, and cultural icons, I have learned that the difference between a good conversation and an unforgettable one is not what you say, it is how you listen. Most people listen to respond. I learned to listen to learn and follow. When you master this, something remarkable happens. People just open up. They leave the conversation feeling truly heard, and they never forget you. Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, and for the first time in my life, I'm teaching everything I have learned. The Art of Conversation, a 4-week masterclass for podcasters, leaders, and professionals who understand that the ability to connect is their greatest competitive advantage. Our founding cohort starts Monday, February the 16th, and only a limited number of seats remain. Enroll right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com.
Yeah, this is all good.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Okay, so I was kind of right and kind of not right. Hard to hold all these facts in my head, but the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is who is actually in charge of clearing all those sites in the Palisades. Yes, they have to coordinate with the county. Yes, they have to coordinate with the city. And here's the thing, Ira. If, in fact, you do own a home in the Palisades, because I don't remember you calling from the Palisades before. I remember it used to be LA, but maybe it's the Palisades. Apparently, 99.8% of those lots are now clear. So if your lot is not clear, you're part of the 0.02% that still remains not cleared out. 4,011 out of 4,400 properties have been cleared in the Palisades area. So sorry, yours is not cleared if it isn't, but to rest your talking point and your attack on the mayor on the fact that the lots in the Palisades are not clear is a weak argument if 99.8%, according to Cal OAS News, West Side Currents, are currently cleared. Actually, West Side says, 99.8. So therefore, you're wrong. I write calls here a lot, and it's usually with Republican talking points. So I'm not surprised that he would attack the mayor. Typically, he says, protect black women, and then proceeds to attack us. It's kind of an MO. Fahima in the chat says, Ira is the chair of the Blame Bass Committee. So I just wanted to clear that up before I went on to what I teased. One of my favorite stories right now, the president and the Department of Justice with a big loss. They tried to go after lawmakers who made a video saying that the military doesn't have to comply with unlawful orders, which might seem like a small thing, but it's an important thing because, let's say there was a coup attempt on, say, January 6, 2028, when Democrats win again. And say there was a coup attempt, and say the sitting president, the current president, if he makes it to 2028, ordered the military to, assist the coup attempters in stopping the election from being certified. Or let's say the president ordered the military to round up all the black people and put us in plantation-themed prisons. Sounds like a Trump-like fantasy. Well, they wouldn't have to comply because that's what the policy of the military is anyway. The military, members of the military are obligated to follow orders as long as they are lawful. If they are unlawful, they are not supposed to comply. That's already the policy. What those lawmakers did was simply remind people or tell people who didn't know that are members of the military that that's what it is. That's the rule. And the president tried to go after them, said they were seditious, Department of Justice. Well, this indictment, which was led by Jeanine Pirro, the TV lady, she lost. And this is embarrassing because it's very rare for a federal grand jury to say, no, we're not charging that. We are not going to indict on that. It rarely happens, just a few times a year. And the Trump administration was not able to convince one single juror, not one, that these lawmakers should be charged under this ridiculous quest. They tried to interview all of these folks, the lawmakers in the video. And of course, Pete Hegseth has gone after Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, and he's still trying to reduce him in rank so that he can reduce his retirement pay. That case has not yet been adjudicated. Later this month, a federal judge, will rule on that. Actually, it could happen within days, but the grand jury said, nah, we're not doing that. That is not what we're doing. So, that's a victory. I mean, there are still jurors and judges that are trying to toe the line for our system. And I think that is a good thing. In some cases, this administration refuses to follow the rulings of judges. But I still think it's important that we continue to normalize what the courts say, to normalize the way our system was set up to work, not the oligarchy, not the imperial presidency, not the bro-oligarchy, and not the kleptocracy where they just steal, the smash and grab presidency. Meanwhile, the national debt is going to be at $64 trillion within 10 years. Why? Well, the don't tax and spend Republicans. The don't tax the rich and spend, I should say. That's according to the Congressional Budget Office. I didn't make it up. The taxing and spending Republican packages, the big expensive bill that the Republicans put in place last year with lots of party favors for the rich, along with the immigration policy, all that ICE shock and awe, that's expensive. Now look at their budget. Well, the immigration policies, along with the party favors for the rich, are increasing the deficit by trillions of dollars. This is the pattern. Republicans get us in a financial mess. Democrats get us out. Republicans get us in a financial mess. Republicans get us out. The problem is neither party has invested in a robust way in the working class, in the under-resourced, the poor. They're just not doing it. And that's why I am constantly saying that we need to lean into the progressive wing of our party. That is the way forward, not just politically, but morally. The House passed the Save America Act. This is the Elon Musk pet project, in which he has literally threatened to primary members of Congress who do not vote for this, because it's going to make it way harder for people to vote. Citizens, not citizens, and especially women. This is that famous piece of legislation where if you've got married and changed your name, got married, divorced, and married and divorced more than once, or even just married and divorced and changed your name, or married and not divorced, and your name is different than what it was when you were born, so it's not the same as your birth certificate or your passport, or you're one of those Americans who hasn't renewed their passport, which is apparently close to half, and maybe they don't have money, time, resources, transportation. You think, oh, that sounds silly. You live in a big city where there's a bus or a train to take you to the passport office, and you probably still haven't done it. But for many Americans, this is inaccessible, whether they're seniors and they don't have transportation, or they don't have money for those renewal fees, which are more than a notion, or whether the name change creates a discrepancy between what is on your birth certificate and what is on the voter rolls. It will be harder for you to vote. That's the point. That's what they want. It passed the House. It would now have to pass the Senate. Hopefully they won't even vote on the bill. The Secretary of State for Maine, Shenna Bellows, says she doesn't think that the Senate will vote on it. I pray she is right, because this is the Elon Musk Stop America from Voting Act. It's really called Save America. They mean Save White America. Chip Roy of Texas is the one who introduced it. But the teeth behind this, or should I say the chainsaw behind this piece of legislation, is Elon Musk, who is threatening lawmakers, which, by the way, that should be against the law, threatening lawmakers with investing millions to make sure they don't get reelected if they don't vote yes, to make it harder for you, me, and all women, mostly all women, seniors and lower resource people to vote. Yeah, put that in your pipe and tweet it. We are talking liberation theology. What is the role of church, the politics of church in this fraught moment, locally, nationally, and globally? Dr. Tabitha Jones-Jolivet joins us next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Seattle celebrated the Seahawks' Super Bowl 60 victory after their 29-13 win over the New England Patriots in Santa Clara. Quarterback Sam Darnold addressed cheering fans.
A lot of people, didn't believe in me, but it didn't matter because the ones that are close believed in me, including y'all.
This win marks the team's second championship. A California lawmaker is proposing a bill that would ban alcohol sales to anyone with multiple DUI convictions. Black Assembly member Rhodesia Ransom's plan, AB 1605, would let judges add a no alcohol sale label to repeat offenders' licenses. And Tiger Woods' son, Charlie, has announced on Instagram he's committing to play college golf at Florida State. The high school junior is ranked number 21 in the AJGA and previously teamed with his father at the PNC Championship. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now is the time to save on an award-winning Nissan at the Nissan Now sales event, featuring the Rogue, Pathfinder, Frontier, and more. Don't wait. These offers are going fast. Shop your Southern California Nissan dealers and NissanUSA.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers go into the All-Star break with a nice win in Houston Wednesday night. Kawhi Leonard converted a clutch three-point play with 2 seconds left to give the Clippers a 105-102 victory. Leonard scored 19 of his 27 points in the fourth quarter. New Clippers guard Benedict Mathurin had 16 points and 3 steals off the bench. The Clippers are 20-7 since December 18th. The Lakers are at home tonight against Dallas. Luka Doncic will miss his 4th straight game with a hamstring injury. Today at 4:30 at LA Live in downtown LA, the men's basketball teams at Hampton University and North Carolina A&T will be celebrated at a pop-up event sponsored by the NBA and Foot Locker. The teams are in town for Friday night's HBCU Classic at the Forum in Inglewood. The game kicks off NBA All-Star Weekend. The pop-up is free and open to the public and includes a performance by the marching bands from Hampton and North Carolina A&T. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Check it out. After nearly 40 years of conversations with presidents, poets, and cultural icons, I have learned that the difference between a good conversation and an unforgettable one is not what you say, it is how you listen. Most people listen to respond. I learned to listen to learn and follow. When you master this, something remarkable happens. People just open up. They leave the conversation feeling truly heard, and they never forget you. Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, and for the first time in my life, I'm teaching everything I have learned. The Art of Conversation, a 4-week masterclass for podcasters, leaders, and professionals who understand that the ability to connect is their greatest competitive advantage. Our founding cohort starts Monday, February the 16th, and only a limited number of seats remain. Enroll right now at TavisTalks.com. That's TavisTalks.com.
Yeah, this is all good.
Yeah. We at war. We at war with terrorism, racism, but most of all, we at war with ourselves. God, show me the way because it's